Thank
Welcome.
you. Wow. Isn't this exciting? This time that we live in right now. I think we live in the creative period. If you look around at how the world has changed in just the last 10 years, how companies like Apple, Tesla, Google, Facebook have transformed the way we do things every single day. And we have companies now saying, wow, there's something to this creative process. There's something about this creativity. We have companies hiring innovation officers, chief creative director. Businesses more and more are saying we need creativity. We need to move that next level, find that next thing. But there's a challenge in the business world, and there's a challenge with creativity in general. And the challenge is sometimes we want things, but we don't understand what it is that we want. In this case, businesses say they want creativity, but what is creativity? Because creativity is not about creating something. Creating something is actually the final stage of creativity. And we live in a world where everything seems to be ordered and structured. I think we're all familiar with the draw by numbers here. And if you look at this, you go, okay, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to make a beautiful sun, or whatever it actually is, because I didn't draw it. But imagine what if those numbers weren't there. See, this is what creativity is. Creativity is looking at things without boundaries, without the rules, without restraint. Creativity isn't so much about creating as it is about curiosity. And that is really good in a lot of ways, but bad in others. Because it's about finding that thing that has not been found. Finding that thing and creating the thing that has not yet been created. Getting that little secret thing that nobody else has. It's about finding things, about curiosity. The problem with creativity, though, is that creativity is chaotic and inefficient. If you think of Steve Jobs, who worked on the Lisa project, he was constantly plugging away their missing deadline after deadline. Pixar, for years, working without having anything to show for it. See, creativity doesn't work the way that we think things should work. Creativity doesn't work the way that we want business to work. For example, one of the most amazing paintings in the world. But imagine what if you told someone to go outside and paint a picture of the scenery as they see it. This isn't something you expect to see. You'd expect to see trees and a sun, but you'd be able to say, look, this is a tree. This is a sun. You look at this and say, this is a bunch of circles and swirls. Because creativity doesn't always mean what we want it to be. And that's a real struggle businesses have. Because when you ask people to be creative, you're asking them to think of something you haven't thought of. You're asking them to build something that doesn't necessarily make sense to you right away. And if we think about that, that's the case of most ingenious inventions. The Apple computer. Who would want a personal computer? Nobody wants a computer. That's a waste of time, a waste of money. We look at all these different things that have been created. We're going to create something that flies in the air and has wings. Man wasn't meant to fly. Yet these are the very things that have changed our lives. But business, on the other hand, is about efficiency. It's about how fast can we get things out, how low can we make the cost, and how much money can we make. And when you think about that, combining efficiency with inefficiency, organization with chaos, creates some challenges. For example, how many people have seen somebody in the workplace with a desk like this? For record, this is not a picture of my desk. Mine's much worse. Is this okay? Is this something that we can allow in the workplace? I mean, we look at this, we say, this person obviously can't be a lawyer or an accountant. I mean, can you imagine asking for your paycheck? Somewhere. See, we need people who are organized in those positions in businesses. We need people who think things very concretely and structurally and follow the rules. And creatives are very bad at following the rules. If you think about it, and this is just a chart, freebie psych majors, there's some issues with the testing and stuff, but I think it gives a very symptomatic example of this. If you say you have people who are very concrete and sequential, and they say, look, I want things to be done this way, in this order, which is perfect for a lawyer, an accountant. They get things done, and they're done exactly as expected. And then you have these two other groups, the abstract sequential and the abstract random, which do their own little thing. And then you got this guy called the abstract random. And you go to the abstract random and say, hey, I want you to be here by 9. and around 11:15 they walk in the office and say, I'm here. Or you say, I need this done this way, and they do it a completely different way. And the problem we have in the business world is communication, because these two look at each other and say, what are you talking about? The abstract random looks at the concrete sequential and says, you're confining me, you're too restrictive, you don't allow me to breathe. And the concrete sequential says, you're crazy. You don't do things the way they're supposed to be done. And that's why when we look at people who run companies, it tends to be your concrete sequentials as those managers. We actually set up structure to boost creativity. How many people have ever been called to a meeting for 30 minutes of brainstorming at 3 p.m. in conference room C? Because that's always effective, right? I mean, walk out like, hey, we got the idea. It doesn't work. The problem is creativity is inspired. Creativity doesn't come from saying, this is how we're going to do it. And if we do it the same way again and again and again, we'll find something new. Creativity comes from trying out new things and looking at everything and saying, what if we did it some way different? I mean, again, we go back to the messy desks, and it's frustrating, especially for those of us that are very organized. Because let's be honest, what type of idiot would have a desk like this? I mean, it's ridiculous. How could you be organized and keep track of things and write things in chronicle order with a messy desk? How could you run a company if you can't find things on your desk? And this is one of the things that we're now seeing challenged, one of the things that's redefining normal. The University of Minnesota found that people who have messier desks tend to think of more creative ideas. So if you have a messy desk, go back to your boss and say, hey, I'm just a creative person. I'm going to help innovate with this company. And for those of you who have clean desks, I have good news. People with cleaner desks tend to live longer and eat healthier. A little bit of a trade-off. The problem is communication is hard. If you think about it, we suck at communication, especially when you think something or know something, but you can't explain why. Steve Jobs trying to explain the personal computer to investors. It's like a typewriter. We have one of those. Very hard to communicate. And it's even harder when you have different personality styles. Insights Discovery has this great program I absolutely love where they list the different types of ways people communicate. And you get people who are very deliberate, very formal, very cautious. And then you get your social people who are very happy, always telling jokes. Or your fiery people who, bullet point by bullet point, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. And then you get your earth green where, hey, can't we all just get along? Now imagine taking that earth green person who's like, hey, can't we all get along, with the red guy going, why isn't it done yet? I don't care about your feelings, get it done. Now imagine trying to explain something that we don't understand. And that's something we're seeing more businesses do, is try to redefine how we communicate and build bridges. Because that's the key to success in a business. You need people who are creative, you need people who are very structured, but you need communication. Communication is the key. And that's why we're seeing different ways of collaboration as well. People are recognizing that it doesn't work to set up a 30-minute meeting. Steve Jobs would refer to hallway meetings where people could meet at the water cooler and talk. We're seeing more companies do outings and saying, let's find ideas afterwards. Because some of the best ideas come up right as you're going to bed or right as you wake up, you go, aha, that makes sense. That might work. I just want to leave with a final thought. And I'm going to steal the words of Steve Jobs because I think Steve Jobs is the creative genius of our time, who's really set the bar high. At Stanford, when he gave the graduation speech, he left them with a few words. And the words he said were, stay hungry, stay foolish. When we think about creativity, one of the biggest challenges we have in business is that creativity looks foolish. But if we stay hungry and we stay foolish and we embrace creativity in the workplace and we let people work to excel, if we give them the trust to do that, we're going to continue to see great innovations. I say creativity is dangerous in the workplace because creativity is dangerous overall. Because one person, actually two with Wozniak, with a new idea, and a little bit of creativity, can change the world. Thank you so much.